Okay, so I just wanted to see if I could record a video talking about my idea of experience theory and idealist metaphysics, how I think the universe is an experience rather than a physical place. And I was just going to talk a little bit about why I don't think it would make sense to be a physical place. Because that's kind of the mainstream view. As humans, it sure seems like a physical place. You're probably watching this on a screen. Knock, knock, knock. It's a screen. Seems pretty physical. You're in a physical body. You walk around, surrounded by walls and ceilings. You can't walk through those. There's laws of physics. Everything's made of atoms, but these atoms are following rules, and you can't break the rules. So it's like you're trapped in this physical world. So the alternative theory that I'm trying to talk about is how everything's actually fundamentally an experience, and the physical world emerged inside the experience. And you might think, that's a strange theory. Why would I even consider that? Makes sense. We live in a physical world, right? That seems like a valid explanation. Everything's made of atoms, came out of the Big Bang 14 billion years ago or whatever. And the atoms started following laws of physics, formed into the earth, and then they created the cells in the ocean, evolved for millions of years, and now here's humans. Okay. But the problem is, there's two main problems with physicalism. That idea that it's actually physical is just, if you really think about it, for trying to create a theory of everything, like an actual complete theory. Because it's nice to say, oh, things seem physical. It's made of atoms, follows laws of physics, yeah. But if you dig into that, how would a universe of atoms following laws of physics come to be in the first place? Why would the laws of physics be exactly what they are? There's a million different types of laws of physics that it could be. So why is it this one? Why is it fine-tuned this way? And there's a lot of theories for that, but ultimately it's just, I would say that you're going to end up hinging on some unfounded assumption no matter what explanation you choose. If you try to say that a physical universe exists fundamentally, ultimately I'll always be able to ask, well, why is it that instead of nothing? And there won't be an answer. It's just, well, we made some unfounded assumptions and we kind of just assume that atoms come out of the Big Bang for some reason. And so that's a problem that should be concerning, I think. And then, so that's half of it, is just, there's no reason for physical matter to just start existing for some reason. You could try to posit that something created it, but then you have to explain how the creator existed. You're just pushing the issue to the next step. Now you have to explain why there's a creator that created that. Why are the laws of physics? Oh, well, maybe a creator set the laws of physics. Or maybe there's a multiverse with all the laws of physics happening in different universes. But none of that is really something that would be naturally occurring if we don't make any assumptions. Even saying that a multiverse pops out of nothing and tries all the different laws of physics, that's still really an unfounded idea. It's just we're post hoc rationalizing our existence. If we want to find a theory that actually is like self-explanatory and doesn't rely on unfounded assumptions, I suggest we should start looking in the other direction. In metaphysics, instead of physicalism, let's look at idealism. Maybe everything actually is an experience. It's a smoother thing to explain. It's a cleaner explanation because an experience is like a dream. It doesn't have any physical grounding that has to be explained. So I think it's easier to believe that a dream would basically happen out of nothing rather than a universe with structured layer in space-time with laws of physics would emerge from nothing. You know, just a dream coming out of nothing is at least a little bit more plausible. Not that it's 100% perfect, but I think we can work out those details later once we get into the details of the experience theory. So anyway, the other major problem with physicalism, and this is the main one actually, I should have started with this, is that we're conscious animals, and we emerged from unconscious atoms. That's really never going to make sense. People are trying really hard to say that consciousness is an illusion or somehow it's emerging from the atoms, but it's ultimately just an illogical idea to think that you can build something out of something categorically different. Like unconscious atoms would basically be these little dots, like little physical Legos, and you can stack them together in different ways and build different shapes and geometry, but there's no reason that you would stack Legos in a certain way and all of a sudden you would be the Legos. Because that's what consciousness is. I am this human. I am this collection of atoms. There's no, it just, at least it doesn't make any logical sense. There's no reason to believe that you move atoms in a certain way and all of a sudden you are the atoms. Because where does the subjective experience come from? I thought this was just a universe of space-time and atoms. Where does the consciousness come from? It doesn't make sense that it would be any particular activity of the atoms either. Oh, maybe it's the electricity in the brain cells. That doesn't really make sense because that's still just motion of atoms and electrons. Electricity is just motion of electrons. It's still just moving or arranging Legos in certain ways. It doesn't matter if you take the Legos and move them around like this. Not all of a sudden are you going to be the Legos. So consciousness being categorically different from physical things, it just doesn't make any sense that it would emerge from unconscious matter. And that's probably the biggest concern for this explanation of the world that, oh, it's all just a physical place. It can make sense if you don't dig into it. But that's what philosophy's for, to realize how much sense it doesn't make. But I really think that's just what everything looks like when you're learning something new. And soon we're going to realize that the universe is an experience. Oh, and everything's going to make sense. That's why conscious animals come out of the atoms, because the atoms are conscious. And atoms come out of the Big Bang because the Big Bang was conscious. The singularity was not just this infinitely dense piece of matter that was unconscious. It was a single experience that then divided into a multi-perspective experience of all the atoms. And each atom is an extension of the source consciousness interacting with what it feels, the other atoms. You don't actually need structure to space-time. It would happen naturally in an experience. Time is really simple. It's just now. And as the experience changes, it's not like the history is being recorded. It's just an experience that changes. It's always now. That's the extent of time, basically. Space is just the little complicated, but I get into this in my book, but it's just like the way the atoms or the fundamental particles are interacting with each other. There's certain delays because certain particles affect a subset of other particles. So they don't all affect each other instantly. And so you get these domino effects where atoms or particles affect each other at different times, and that creates the space. So it seems like we're in a spatial universe with lots of stars and planets, but really, these are all just different perspectives in one giant experience. All the stars are basically, you could think of it as they're alive. But stars don't have brains, so they don't think like us. They don't think, hi, I'm a star. They're a collection of smaller experiences, the particles and atoms just living out their lives, interacting with each other. And that explains why they follow laws of physics. It's actually just their natural inclinations for their behavior because of what feels good. I think that in this explanation, the rest of the universe has a lot more in common with us than we might have thought before. It's all just experiencers looking for good experience, trying to avoid bad experiences. And that's why atoms follow the laws of physics, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, how long is this video? I'm just talking and talking, but it should be very suspicious. I think if somebody tells you that you're in a physical universe, don't worry. I think you should be skeptical and suspicious of that, because it doesn't make sense. My consciousness emerged from a bunch of atoms that aren't conscious. That's kind of a non sequitur. Where did the consciousness come from? Why am I experiencing it? It's a much cleaner theory to just say that the atoms are conscious, and when they come together, since it's all one consciousness, it all expanded from a singularity, a single experience in the Big Bang. That's how it feels like I'm Daniel right now, because I'm actually just all the atoms of Daniel simultaneously. And when you're all the atoms at the same time, it feels like this. And I can see out of my eyes and live my life. So I realize that this seems bizarre to most people at first. And so I'm kind of fighting an uphill battle trying to explain this. It will help when I finish my book and I have the structured explanation, but I'm going to be making more YouTube videos talking about it and maybe addressing specific things about it, because there's a million questions that come up when you start to think of the universe through the other lens, through the idealist metaphysics lens. It's like, well, and how does this tie into free will? How are atoms deciding what to do? And so I have explanations for all that stuff. And it's super interesting, and I think it works better than this physicalist model that we'd live in a physical universe. I don't know, does any of that make sense? I guess this is probably a long enough video, 12 minutes. But I was just trying to give an update and give some ideas and thoughts to think about in the meantime. I guess let me know what questions pop up. What should I talk about in regards to this? What makes it seem not true? I just wonder, because I know it's hard to get over the intuition. As a human, you feel like we are in a physical world, and that is how our brains develop for survival. If you knew you were just an experiencer floating in a universal experience, you might not take it as seriously or something. If you think you're an animal in a real physical world, you're going to pay attention and look out for predators. And for survival, I think we're forced to think this way. So now that we've kind of established our lives on this planet, barely, we can maybe take a step back and think about how we got here. So anyway, yeah, I will hopefully make another video soon and finish that book soon. And maybe I'll do a live stream at some point to talk about it too. All right, that's all for now.